I hate world star hip hop. I hate gossip. I hate all that shit. I hate Wendy Williams. I hate anybody that you...
Method Man has never needed a diss track to make a statement. His silence has always spoken louder. In an industry where features are currency and clout is king, he chose something far rarer: refusal, turning down songs, walking away from drama, drawing lines most artists wouldn't dare cross. And the reasons aren't random. They follow a code built on legacy, respect, and one rule that never bends.
She doesn't have any fans, and the people that listen to her just as dumb, because the bitch is an idiot, man. She's a fucking idiot, man.
These are 7 artists Method Man refused to work with and why. And by the time we reach the final name, you'll see why people say Method Man doesn't just protect his career, he protects the Wu-Tang code. At the top of the list of Diddy. Method Man and Diddy have been in the same orbit for decades. Same era, same coast, same industry circles. On paper, they should have crossed paths creatively many times over. But in reality, they represent 2 completely different worlds. Method Man came up through Wu-Tang, built on raw, underground energy that felt like it belonged to the streets, the people, and the culture itself. Diddy, on the other hand, built a glossy, hyper-commercial empire, where image, branding, and business strategy often mattered just as much as the music. That difference has always mattered to Method Man. When the conversation around Diddy started getting ugly, Method Man refused to play along with the idea that hip-hop should somehow take the blame as a whole. When he was asked directly whether Diddy's downfall would damage hip-hop culture, Meth didn't hesitate. He looked almost offended by the question. His answer was sharp and immediate. "I don't think that it has anything to do with hip-hop."
I don't think that it has anything to do with hip-hop. What are we talking about here, really?
And when the question was pushed again, he doubled down even harder. "It has nothing to do with hip-hop. I don't see the correlation."
Hip-hop at that era. Okay.
Has nothing to do with hip-hop at all. So,
That response says a lot. It shows Method Man refuses to let people turn one man's mess into an entire genre's problem. He understands how easily narratives get twisted, how quickly blame spreads, and how often hip-hop gets treated like a monolith instead of a culture made up of individuals. To drive the point home, he brought up the R. Kelly situation, making it clear that music doesn't stop existing just because an artist self-destructs. His line was blunt and uncomfortable, but intentional. There are people still listening to R. Kelly shit. But here's where it gets even more telling. Method Man once shared a story that went semi-viral on TikTok, and it had nothing to do with headlines or internet drama. It was about instinct. He described running into Diddy at the House of Blues back in the 90s. According to Meth, Diddy got touchy and urged him to get in his car to go to a party. And Meth's reaction wasn't polite. It wasn't cautious. It was immediate and final. "There's no way I'm getting in that car."
And I'm like, oh, that's Puff car. That's Puffy car. Ain't no way I'm getting in that motherfucking car. No fucking way.
That's not someone declining an invite. That's someone listening to their gut and drawing a hard line. No excuses, no explanations, just no. Years later, Method Man still found himself being dragged toward Diddy-related chaos. Not because he wanted to be there, but because people love using his name as fuel. In 2023, an edited throwback clip surfaced, posted by 50 Cent, trying to tie Method Man into a Kanye rumor connected to Diddy's parties. The clip was designed to stir controversy, but Method Man shut it down instantly, making it clear he wasn't about to let anyone remix his words into a scandal. He jumped into the comments and said it plainly. "This video is fake. You and Diddy keep me out of this." Then he added, "The real vid is on YouTube. Do your research." So with Diddy, it's bigger than one song that never happened. It's a pattern. Method Man isn't just selective about music. He's selective about proximity. He doesn't want his name attached to certain circles, and he definitely doesn't want to be used as a chess piece in somebody else's chaos. And just when you think it can't get more direct than that, the next name is one where Method Man openly admits he turned down a major collaboration. Second on the list is Drake. Back in 2013, Drake tried to bring the entire Wu-Tang Clan together for a remix titled Wu-Tang Forever. On paper, it sounded historic, but the moment the record came in, Method Man felt something was off. He said publicly that he respects Drake as an artist. In fact, he made it clear there was no personal issue at all. He said, "I like Drake. I think he's a dope artist."
Record, and
I like Drake.
Yeah.
I like Drake. I think he's a dope artist. He puts out some great music, obviously, or else he wouldn't be as big as he is.
But then he got straight to the point. When he heard the track, his reaction was simple. "I don't like it."
Some brothers was trying to write to it and shit, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't like it.
And the question he asked next explains everything. What does this have to do with Wu-Tang Forever? That wasn't shade. That was a line being drawn because in Method Man's world, you don't just name a song after Wu-Tang's legacy because it sounds powerful or carries weight. If the music doesn't reflect the spirit, the mindset, and the identity behind that name, then it doesn't belong to them. There was also a creative disconnect. Drake wanted one kind of subject matter. Wu-Tang was in a completely different headspace at the time. Method Man explained that they were in a hard, no-nonsense mode, while the record leaned in another direction. To make it even worse, the track came in last minute. They had about 6 hours to write, and everything felt rushed and misaligned. Inspectah Deck later backed this up, saying the track didn't represent Wu-Tang. He even broke down the sample choice, pointing out that it didn't directly sample Wu-Tang's It's Yours, but instead pulled from It's Yours by T-La Rock and Jazzy J, the foundation Wu-Tang originally built on. So this refusal wasn't petty. It wasn't about ego. It wasn't about Drake. It was about identity. It was Wu-Tang saying, you can't borrow our name unless the music carries the same DNA. And here's the part that really hits. If Method Man can turn down Drake, one of the biggest artists on the planet, when the spotlight is right there, you already know the next refusal isn't about a song at all. Because the next name on this list involves something much deeper than music. It's about disrespect and a situation that almost turned physical. Number 3 on the list is Joe Budden. The tension between Method Man and Joe Budden didn't start in a studio or on a song. It started with words. Joe Budden publicly questioned Method Man's placement on a list ranking the greatest rappers of all time. On the surface, it looked like just another hip-hop debate, but in reality, it was something much deeper, a challenge to legacy, respect, and position in the culture. And Method Man took it personally. Years later, he admitted there was a moment when things nearly crossed a dangerous line. He recalled running into Joe Budden and listening to him talk, all while already having his mind made up. Method Man said flat out that he was prepared to snuff him.
Now, Joe, you don't know this, but the whole time you was talking, I was gonna snuff you. But the reason why I didn't in that moment was because you said some real shit. You had said some real shit, and I don't know exactly what it was word for word and shit.
Not eventually, not hypothetically, right then. But something unexpected happened. As Joe spoke, he said something that made Method Man pause. Meth couldn't even remember the exact words later on, only the effect. He described Joe as smart in that moment, playing chess instead of checkers. And because of that, Method Man didn't swing. He walked away thinking the situation could still be resolved. For a brief moment, it looked like it might end there. Method Man even tried to de-escalate things, telling Joe that he was talented and didn't need to go down a path of constant provocation. But that calm didn't last. Joe kept talking. He kept mentioning Wu-Tang members publicly. He named names. And once that happened, it was no longer a one-on-one issue. At that point, Method Man said his hands were tied. Later that same day, during a tour stop, things boiled over. A member of Raekwon's camp confronted Joe Budden backstage, and the situation turned physical. The message was clear. This wasn't internet banter anymore. This was real-world consequence. Joe Budden later spoke about the incident himself, describing how someone from Ray's crew stepped in and caught him slipping. He tried to laugh it off publicly, joking that he was still good, still standing, just with a swollen eye. But the damage had already been done. From that point on, whatever chance there was for peace or collaboration disappeared, because this wasn't a creative disagreement. It wasn't a missed feature. It was a breakdown of respect. And once that happens in hip-hop, especially when it involves Wu-Tang, there's no walking it back. Method Man didn't just refuse to work with Joe Budden after that. He stopped seeing him as someone worth engaging creatively at all. And that's what makes this entry different from the others so far. With Drake, it was about identity. With Diddy, it was about distance. But with Joe Budden, it was personal. Macklemore takes the 4th spot. This one didn't come from a diss track, an interview, or a back and forth online. It came straight from the stage. During a live performance with Redman, Method Man paused and told the crowd about something that had been bothering him. He talked about watching a rapper perform on TV, a high-energy show, a lot of excitement, the crowd fully locked in. At first, there was respect. He admitted the rapper could rhyme. No hate there. Then he mentioned the name, Macklemore, and that's when the tone shifted. Method Man described watching Macklemore step onto the crowd's hands, walking across them mid-performance. To most fans, it probably looked hype. To Method Man, it felt like something else entirely, something familiar, something borrowed. Because for Meth, that wasn't just a performance trick. That was part of a style he lived, built, and earned over decades. And seeing it replicated on a massive platform didn't sit right with him, so he said it out loud. Right there, no sneak shots, no coded language. He made it clear that while Macklemore had skill, that moment crossed the line for him. What makes this important isn't the crowd walking itself, it's what it represents. To Method Man, hip-hop isn't something you imitate for applause. It's not a set of moves you pick up once the cameras are rolling. It's culture, it's history. And when someone adopts pieces of that culture without carrying the same weight behind it, it feels hollow. This wasn't about Macklemore being untalented. Method Man never said that. It was about authenticity, about knowing where things come from and respecting who built them. And once again, the pattern shows itself. Method Man doesn't chase moments, he guards meaning. So when it comes to Macklemore, the refusal isn't about a song that never happened. It's about a mindset that doesn't align. A reminder that just because something works in the mainstream doesn't mean it earns a place in every circle. And just when you think the list is done with subtle moments and public call-outs. The next name isn't even about one artist. It's about an entire era of hip-hop and the sound Method Man refused to embrace. Number 5 is Lil Yachty. As hip-hop shifted in the mid to late 2010, a new sound took over. Melodies over bars, vibes over storytelling, lyrics that didn't always need to make sense as long as the feeling landed. And while that wave brought massive success to a new generation, Method Man made it clear early on that this wasn't his lane. He didn't whisper it either. Method Man openly criticized what he saw as the loss of clarity and substance in rap. He talked about rappers who weren't saying anything, who weren't painting pictures, who weren't telling stories. For him, bars mattered. Delivery mattered. Meaning mattered. Hip-hop, in his eyes, wasn't supposed to be background noise. And whether intentionally or not, one artist became the symbol of that shift, Lil Yachty. Lil Yachty never hid who he was. Early in his career, he openly said he wasn't focused on lyricism and didn't even see himself as a traditional rapper. He leaned fully into the vibe, the melody, the moment. And for a lot of fans, that honesty was refreshing. But for Method Man, it highlighted the exact divide he couldn't cross. This wasn't personal. Method Man never singled Lil Yachty out by name. There was no diss, no call-out, no direct confrontation. Instead, it was a quiet but firm rejection of the direction hip-hop was moving in, and the refusal to attach his name to that sound. That's why there's never been a collaboration. Not because of beef, not because of drama, but because their philosophies don't meet in the middle. Method Man comes from a place where every verse is supposed to hit like a statement. Lil Yachty came up in an era where feeling mattered more than precision. Neither approach is wrong, but they're not compatible. And this moment matters because it shows something important. Method Man isn't just selective with people, he's selective with movements. When the culture shifts in a way that doesn't align with his values, he doesn't complain, he steps back. 50 Cent takes the 6th spot. This one is subtle, but it says a lot, because when it comes to 50 Cent, Method Man isn't refusing a beat or turning down a verse. He's refusing something much bigger, the machine that turns conflict into content. 50 Cent has built an entire second career off trolling, poking, and keeping beef alive online. And whether people love it or hate it, it works. Clips go viral, headlines follow, narratives get pushed. But Method Man has never wanted any part of that ecosystem. That became crystal clear when an old clip of Method Man suddenly resurfaced during one of 50 Cent's online jabs aimed at Diddy. The video was edited in a way that suggested Method Man had made a wild claim about Kanye West at one of Diddy's parties. It was explosive, it was messy, and it spread fast. But Method Man shut it down immediately. He jumped into the comments and made it clear the clip had been manipulated. He told both 50 Cent and Diddy in no uncertain terms to keep him out of it. He pointed people to the full original video and made it clear that what was circulating wasn't the truth. It was a remix designed to stir chaos. And that moment tells you everything about why Method Man and 50 Cent don't move together. For 50, controversy is leverage. It's part of the brand. For Method Man, controversy is something you step away from when it threatens to distort your name. He doesn't want his words cut up, reframed, and turned into ammunition for someone else's feud. That's also why there's never been a collaboration between them, despite coming up in the same era, dominating the same coast and crossing paths countless times. It's not about disrespect, it's about boundaries. Method Man isn't interested in beef as entertainment. He's not interested in viral moments that age poorly. And he's definitely not interested in letting his legacy be shaped by internet narratives. Finally, Lil Wayne takes the 7th spot and completes the list. This last name is the most debated, not because of what Method Man said, but because of what he never said. There was never a direct diss. No interview where Method Man called Lil Wayne out by name. No quote where he said he refused a collaboration outright. And that silence is exactly why this conversation exists. Because while Method Man never mentioned Lil Wayne specifically, he was very clear about how he felt about the direction mainstream rap took in the late 2000s. He talked openly about lyricism being replaced by punchlines, about style overtaking substance, about rap becoming more about moments than meaning. And during that era, one artist stood at the center of the shift. Lil Wayne's influence was everywhere. His sound shaped a generation. His approach to bars, delivery, and volume changed how rappers moved, how often they released music, and what audiences expected. Whether people loved it or hated it, the culture followed. So when Method Man spoke critically about that period, fans naturally started connecting dots. What makes it more noticeable is what didn't happen. Lil Wayne collaborated with almost every major legend you can think of. Bridges were built across generations. Yet somehow, Method Man and Lil Wayne never crossed paths on a record. No feature, no verse, no joint moment. Some fans believe Method Man simply didn't connect with the era Wayne helped define. Others think it was less about Wayne himself and more about what mainstream rap had become around him. Either way, the distance remained. What's important here is honesty. There's no confirmed refusal on record. This isn't a feud. It isn't beef. It's a philosophical gap that never closed. And that actually makes this entry the perfect ending. Because when you look at this entire list, Diddy, Drake, Joe Budden, Macklemore, Lil Yachty, 50 Cent, and Lil Wayne, the story isn't about who Method Man doesn't like. It's about what he refuses to compromise. He refuses to let legacy be borrowed without meaning. He refuses to let disrespect slide. He refuses to let his name be turned into content, and he refuses to chase relevance when it comes at the cost of identity. That's why Method Man doesn't move like everyone else. That's why his silence is sometimes louder than a verse. And that's why, even decades into his career, people still treat his approval like it actually means something. So now I want to throw it to you. Do you respect Method Man more for staying selective, even if it means missing big moments? Or do you think hip-hop legends should be more open to crossing generations and sounds, even if the record isn't perfect? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is one of those topics where the debate never really ends. And if this is just the public stuff, imagine what got handled quietly behind the scenes. Because with Method Man, the loudest message is always the same. He's not for sale, and he's not for remix.